computer. All right, so I posted yesterday or the day before that we're going to be closing Gamba. Nothing's wrong. Basically, the landlords are selling the building. We have to be out by July 1st. So we have plenty of time to figure stuff out. Um, in the meantime, we need to sell everything in here. So for the next couple, not everything, but like we're going to keep our music equipment. We're going to keep our personal items. We're not leaving Brooklyn. We're not leaving New York. It's not like the end of Brooklyn Wildlife Gamba, Blackland ownership. It's literally we I've like outgrown the show we're in, or whatever our like little temporary home was, has decided to like pick up and move. Um, so we will be looking to partner on another space. Now I don't know if that means like go half and half. I don't know if that means like a rehearsal studio so I can take all my music stuff. Hold on, is this choppy? Can y'all hear me? I know Melissa's gonna join from the car. Use your phone and join. Yeah. Okay. Whenever you can. Yeah. Um, whether it's going to be like partnering, like going up like half and half, like Blackland ownership, or me and Melissa Gamba and two other people. So it's like four people total. It would be three people total. I'm not talking about starting a collective where there are 12 people trying to make decisions, but it doesn't really make sense for us as two people to try to run a space in any capacity while we're going to be out of town as much as we're going to be in the next 6 to 9 months. But we also need a space in Brooklyn because I mean it's going to be summer festival. We still have, we want to do a block party this summer. We're going to be doing events at Gamba. But like I'm meeting the dudes who are buying this shit. It was four guys who are not friendly with each other. They made a plan to make money. They're gonna buy this place probably for $1.5 million. They're gonna turn it into how many floor condo, and they're gonna resell it for like 3 or 4 million. I'm not interested in doing that, but I'm constantly being presented with the reality of land has options that other things don't have for like what I'm interested in, what I can do, and like the reality of how expensive food is getting. And in New York, it's going to be everyone's a renter, like what it looks like to me. And I don't like the idea of having to be a renter my entire life. What happens. So, any questions about Gamba first, or like what's happening and what we're trying to do? No, everything makes sense.
What what you thinking in terms of like when are you gonna start doing programming elsewhere and like start transitioning out?
Okay. Um, I don't know how it's gonna look, right? Like if we can actually partner, like let's say have like responsibility, like we both like Gamba or Melissa and I and another entity like go up on a space together and like our names on the lease. That's one thing. And what type of space that would be, I think a one room schoolhouse or something that has a more directed purpose where it's not just live performance or it's not just like kick it, but where there's an educational component and we can start implementing some of the stuff with the Omni Institute, which is the educational arm we've been working on and developing. I can do a bit more with like the podcasting and programming and classes around hip hop and history of human consciousness. And then also do shows, like do some small gatherings, do book readings, same stuff we did at Gamba. If it's just programming or like, let's say we get brought in as kind of like event producers or talent bookers or, vibe setters, whatever, you call the name of curators basically, and there's a certain amount of events or a certain number of days a month or a certain segment of things we're supposed to do, that would be dope. Whatever the scenario is, it has to accommodate for the fact that we're gone for weeks at a time. We are not going to be able to physically be in the space as much as some of the other people that are there. And so it it really depends on who's trying to do what. I'll be honest, like I'm not around a lot of people that want the responsibility of running a space right now. And when I got out here, a lot of people I was around were trying to turn their apartments into spots, trying to turn galleries into spots. A lot of people I'm around right now, it's just too expensive. Like it doesn't really make sense to try to go up on a space. Um, to do like $5 and $10 events, or to do things that are basically free, um, or donation based. So what I don't want to happen is us look up and we got to have meetings about Black land ownership in our living room in the apartment. Like that can't happen. What I don't want to do is look up and I don't have any place for all of this music equipment I've been accumulating for 15 years. Because it's dope being able to record and bring the homies over, plug this shit in. I got recordings of Marcus that we never sat down and said, let's make an album together. But I got recorded joints of Marcus where the rest of my life, it's like I was there when it happened. I seen the magic. We got it on tape. Me, Melissa, three other people, maybe the only people that heard it, but I got it, and that shit's dope. Um, so we'll see. I think by having 5 months, it will be revealed to us like who's trying to do what. Hopefully, folks will be like, "Yo, what y'all trying to do?" And we'll suss out some opportunities, you know. But we just found out a week ago, like 5 days ago. So I mean, we're looking at like, you know, how to make sure we get all the stuff out. But I'm already looking at planning a block party for June. We plan to be doing summer camp for adults up on the land starting in like March or April, and I'll kind of run through some of that because that will influence what we're able to do with Gamba. The schedule, I think, is something like, let me find it. All right, Chisels and Ginger Adult Summer Camp. Programs of 5 day sessions or 3 day sessions with time off in between, inviting adults of all ages and of all backgrounds, identities, and providing accommodations for a limited number of people inside and as many that want to camp on the land as possible. Mostly, I think I want to cap these things at like 10 people. It might get a little too wonky after that many people. Um, the courses will be taught by experts or by just people who have an interest in stuff, or will be like driven by like student driven learning or what have you. But there will be some things with experts, like if we teach chainsaws and like how to use equipment, the people teaching the machinery where you can get hurt, those will be experts. If we do like a painting workshop, yeah, maybe my uncle, who knows? Um, and the goal would be to have some completed project. There will be an event where the whole thing is to do nothing, but most of the activities, we want people to leave with something they can look at and say, I did that while I was there. So we want to do a natural building course, probably late June, photography course in April, another one in May when everything's blooming, maybe another one in the fall during the autumn season. Do a writing workshop. Melissa would probably host a music one in early August. And like that would be a 3 to 5 day one. I figure out the time where a bunch of musicians come up, and the goal is to leave with one solo work completed and one collaborative work completed. And I have the recording equipment up there. I have some. We'll get to that. Then possibly in September after Summerfest, like a sobriety kind of trip. And whether it's people trying to be sober from alcohol, or we'll pick whatever one. For me, the alcohol would be the easiest one to facilitate because I already don't drink. Um, one of them in June, Introduction to Outdoors for people who aren't used to being just out in the woods. And here's how you set up your tent. Here's the simple camping stuff. Canoeing and life on the lake. That would probably be early August or late July. So it's warm enough and the lake is that time to warm up. But for people that want to learn how to swim, I think we can teach people how to float and at least stop being afraid of water in 3 days. And if you kind of know how to swim, we can definitely get people comfortable. Then kayaking, canoeing, and other kind of waterways skills. We want to have a machinery and tool workshop, which I mentioned before, including chainsaw stuff, and hopefully our sawmill, portable sawmill, we get that popping, and then a painting workshop. And so there are ideas of doing that where like I won't be in Brooklyn, so we won't be doing stuff at Gamba. But when we're not doing those events, or we're not relaxing and like trying to fix up the house or doing other things necessary, then I do want to make sure we get not as much as we can out of Gamba, like in an exploitative or like milk it way, but really like celebrate what we've been doing the past, I think 4 or 5 years in this location, and what 2 years prior to that or something like that. Um, so that's kind of the basic rundown, if that makes sense, for like what spring and summer is looking like. Does that make sense? Everybody?
Can you hear me, Chris?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Okay, great. Yep, just making sure. Okay.
Were there any questions, or are people interested in any of those topics? Would any of you want to facilitate a workshop? What are you all's thoughts?
Here.
I just heard you.
I would. This is Stevenson. I'd definitely be interested in like the camping for beginners. Get out of my YouTube, binge on camping and actually do some practical stuff. So I'd definitely be interested in that.
Dope, 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 dope. And I think we'll have a couple different levels of that in the sense of um, how, like, what elements, right? Some of it might be more like camping focused and just the idea of like how to set up camp, how to prepare, what you're going to need, make sure you have your necessary items for when you go into the woods and just preparation for outdoor activities. And then other things would be what Marcus is saying, like actually putting together the tent, spending the night outside. Maybe we cook or use the kitchen one of the nights, but doing a full like day where we go up to the top part of the land and stay on the land for a day or two, and you don't go back to the house. So that's not the intro level, right? So we can have an intro level, intermediate, have some different joints. Maybe bring in somebody to do a nature survival training setup, but that's for the future.
Yeah, I mean, I would be. I'm interested in all of that, but I'm just thinking what's practical with a nine. It'll be 9 or 10 months by then. So it might just be like a day trip for me, or we'll figure, or maybe with a fan will stay nearby, or I don't know. We'll figure it out. But I'll be interested in all that, but I think practically probably the beginner for now.
We could definitely do like a 1 day kind of intro and going through what you're going to need, what you can expect, what to look for, and kind of like have different people talk about their experiences. And if y'all had to stay overnight, we are friends with a young lady who's opening up a bed and breakfast where she's converting an old Korean spa into the bed and breakfast. So it had like, 18 bathrooms, 15 rooms in it. And so if people are coming with family or going to need like a more structured place to stay if they come overnight, we will have that as an option for people. Um, you made me think of something else. With the with Marcus, you said here, let me check this chat. Uh, cool. And if it says something and camping, show you how to put a tent together and prep. So, and Marcus, would you be down to facilitate some music stuff if we did one? And whether it's something that is part of a history thing or kind of doing if we bring out some young people doing something about the blues where we have, you know, educational portion and then a performance portion or something of that nature. Would that be something of interest to you? And Dave Wilson, I know you're on here. We talked about doing a wellness or kind of retreat setup. Would you still want to do something like that, Dave?
Yeah, I could do. Yeah, I'd be down for that.
Now
Can you hear
you've
me?
been up, yeah, you've been up
Okay,
to the
great.
property. So what type of thing with the way our property's set up? What type of thing do you think you'd actually be able to do, or like would be a good? Should we do a 3 day like kind of mindfulness thing and like focus on different things each day? What do you think would be a really good use of that space and how we have the conservation land, we have the land with the house, we have the lake, and can do stuff like in town or whatever.
Yeah. Well, the way things roll with something like that, like if you're gonna do, there's different ways to do it, but I would say that the homestead, where people sleep and stay, that from when you, if you were to do a silent retreat, let's just say a 3 day silent retreat or a 5 day silent retreat, if it's a ride all the way up there, decide like what's worth for people. I don't know. Um, But I would say like where you guys are, that's the home base, food, cooking together, and then daily excursions to these things. Because you could do like very simple mindful walking, right? So you've been in this meditative experience, you've been this mindful experience or an offshoot thereof. You're connected to your body, connected to the world around you. So it's really about enhancing those things where a simple movement can be good, just your arms or your legs or whatever. So we'll do some of that simple yoga. No like warrior one or two. It's really just lifting your arms up and down and stuff like that. But then when you're in that moment, and then you go on a walk, the world is different. So now there are all these little different worlds. Like, what does it feel like when you step into the water? You know, you can explore all that. And somebody could sit, you could swim or whatever it is, or you go into, yeah, you can go to the woods where into that into the other parcel of land with the uphill. Uh, Basically, yeah, there's just lots of little things you can do in different locations and come back to the home base.
Okay,
That's kind of
that makes sense.
that's the nuts and bolts of it. Pretty simple.
Okay, dope. So let's see here. So I'm gonna put in here Stevenson would like to attend a camping, and then Dave on wellness, Marcus on camping and music. And Stevenson, I'd be interested in possibly doing something working with the org that I'm a part of, because they throw a art show every year, and possibly doing an art discussion and talking about the use of or the presence of nature or natural settings or pastoral images in the history of art.
I'm down with. Oh, please forgive the baby in the background, but I'm down for any art related programming, bro. That's especially in talk.
But that would be kind of dope. I didn't realize like there's one gallery kind of in Cooperstown, but the org I work for, they throw this event called Glimmer Glass Film Days, and it started like with films that were helping us spread information uh, that relates to conservation, and through that they then started working with different visual artists that showcase work that's nature related or feature elements of nature. It can be sculpture, paintings, mobiles, hanging installation art, and a bunch of stuff. So we kind of found ourselves in a little community. I don't say it's a whole lot of people, but a little community.
Can I raise my hand again?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. So to add on to that, or to not add on, but really shift that meditation experience, that meditate the mindfulness in music or mindfulness in art and creativity would be a great retreat as well. So, like if we were to do mindfulness music retreat, it'd be really people just with the relaxing and with the focusing and all that comes an elevated sense of awareness of your process and what sounds feel good to you. Where does that resonate in your body? What happens when you hit a stick against the rock? What happens when your friend hits the stick or the other person hits the stick against the rock? What happens what sounds in nature speak to you, and how does that translate now that you've inputted that from the world? How does that output? So you could do things like that and also have like a side, like have a little place where you can record anything. You record yourself, you got beats, you got music, whatever. So if we keep that silent, like the silence of our voice during a certain period of time, and then you get to express it in a different way, so on and so forth. That'd be a cool little walk through whatever to see what gets created at the end of it, individually and as a group.
I didn't really think about the silent element. That would be cool. I have to figure out some of the structural elements or like the safety part of that, of how to make sure we can communicate and have enough signage and other things. I don't have to get into specifics, but that's something to consider to where maybe like a 1 day or 2 day silence.
There's a lot of feedback. There's a lot of feedback. I couldn't really understand that. It sounds like there's a lot of mics open.
Hello, can you hear me better now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Um, and figuring out the safety of doing something like that, as well as being able to communicate with everybody. Oh, still can't hear me. Hello, hello.
Oh, sorry. I think I was hearing you from Melissa's speaker as well. So there's a lot of feedback going on.
Okay. What I was saying is like maybe if we do a 3 day wellness thing, having initially a 1 day silent retreat, so we can figure out the logistics and management of that. We've never done anything like that up on the property, and we don't have, I think, enough signage or enough things prepared e- uh, to where where people would just be able to know what's happening or figure it out. Um, but I like the idea of that. I like the idea of it.
Yeah, like kind of a deep dive into your process. Maybe that would be a something that could evolve for it. It's like if you want to get into your process, then this is something that so an experience and a skill building that would that would assist that and allow you to release and let go or get into there and evolve whatever your process is or whatever your creative outlet is, maybe professionally or personally.
Yeah, I like that. So we are about to head down to DC. I'm going to be participating in this Melanoma Research Alliance event. I want to better flesh out what we're going to do with Gamba the next couple of months, figuring out like how we want to do programming and obviously how we would work with folks who are part of this chat as we out. And then we'll better figure out our schedule for events coming up this spring and summer, and I'll speak individually with everybody about their different kind of interests or what they would be able to lead and how we can try to generate some revenue for the people that do facilitate.
Word. Word. I missed the beginning. So what's happening with the space in Brooklyn, and where are you guys at with all that? Are you guys where are you living in Brooklyn and upstate as well still, or
So we still have our we still have our apartment in Brooklyn. We are renting it out for the next month and a half and gonna kind of travel. I'm going down to Texas. I'll be going out to California. I'm going to DC this week. Melissa's going out of town. She has family stuff to do. And so in the meantime, we want to try to throw shows at Gamba. We want to have a block party in June. We want to uh, do events to commemorate the fun events that we've already done. We would like to partner with somebody or a group of people if possible and have another space in the future. I don't think it makes sense for us right now if we're going to be gone from basically March or April all the way till October, November upstate or like doing stuff upstate to be like solo, single proprietors of a space or like try to manage running a space ourselves right now. Uh, and I don't think I'm in a space where I just want to like rent a co-working space at WeWork or something like that. I still want to do shows. I still have all this equipment we've been accumulating. I just got this new sequencer I like rocking out. So we're trying to square that circle.
right on? Sounds great.
Yeah, basically, I won't say motto, but my mantra slash annoying statement is going to be like, yo, me and the homies have thrown shows for 15 years. Somebody else fucking grab the baton, put the fucking time and bread up, and let's fucking keep rocking. And we'll see, you know?
Word. Word.
Uh, There got to be some group of people out there that are like, we want to do shit. We know people. We like A, B, or C. We don't have equipment. We don't know how to blah, blah. We don't. And it's like, whoop, I can do those 4 parts. Willis can do those 3 parts. Y'all can do those 4 parts. Then it sounds like we got something rocking.
Word.
Now, Melissa, while I load up the rest of the stuff, I need to cut off my mic or else I'm going to be causing feedback. Is there anything you wanted to explain about the classes, workshops, or what you see happening with Gamba? This would be a great time.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody. I mean, I think in terms of Gamba, it sounds like Chris kind of got into that. In terms of the classes, I guess what catalyzed us kind of thinking about the classes, besides just enjoying doing things like that, our actual missions, is that we did a natural building workshop, and it was 5, 6 days where we basically cooked all the meals for about 15 people, and people camped out on the land, and we built a cob oven and outdoor kitchen, which I think we showed some pictures of at the last meetup. And it was so much fun. Like it was all people we didn't know. There were people who came down in an RV. There were some young people, some older people that were retired, some not in college yet folks like 19, people working in all kinds of different sectors. Some were builders, some were teachers, some were researchers, but everybody kind of had a love of nature, and we learned a lot of stuff about the property and each other, and just what it looks like to do things a little bit differently, and heard a lot of stories. Like there was a couple who was just going around in their RV. They had sold their house. One of them had been really sick, and they were basically, it wasn't an RV, it was like a van that they souped up like you see on Instagram and stuff. And yeah, so it's just a lot of interesting stories, and people uniting always like kind of breeds something. So I think, and also we kind of met a lot of folks up there who have specialties that they want to do. Like we were talking about, using heavy machinery and all the learning curve that especially I've had, but Chris learned it a lot of it on his own or had some experience with it. I had some experience with it, but was still scared of certain machinery, and just being able to, have people who have been doing it forever teach us. And we were like, this is actually something, and they love being around people. Like they came to our house and we were having barbecues, or when we were doing the cob oven, or when people came up and we were performing around the fire, and they were like, this is so great. We don't get to see anything like this up here. So it definitely bred an interesting connection between the folks up there and the folks coming from the city, and then the random people who came for our workshop. So I think it's really fun. It's a really fun way to build community and like do things that we've, some of us have never done before. So I'm excited for the camping, for the machinery workshop. I think we're going to try to build some sort of tiny house. I don't know if Chris told you about, not a tiny house, but like a little cabin in the woods. Like a really simple, we get the blueprints, and the people who know how to do it up there and who have been teaching us kind of help us with other hands for a workshop. Should be really fun. So yeah, and we're doing a writing retreat, which will be awesome. This will be our first writing retreat. We're going to have folks from the area and from the Gamba community come up and, teach some sessions and write with us. And that's going to be a 5-day one. So I'm very excited about that as well. Now, I heard Stevenson, you were saying you're interested in the camping, and I love that. Like, I think that we camped for the first time on the property. I think a bunch of other people camped before us. Like, I know Marcus came up and camped, Gravity camped. There were a bunch of different folks who have tried it out, but just because we were doing other work, we hadn't really gotten to that yet. But then Chris built some platforms, and our first night camping was actually like, 50 degrees or 40. It was pretty cold. It was in the fall, but it was so beautiful. We were bundled up. The noises we heard in the night, I mean, there were moments where I was awake like, oh Lord, those coyotes sound really close. But, and there was this one bird, as Chris says, it was an owl. I'm sure it was, but it was a weird kind of owl. It made a really crazy sound that I've never heard before in my life. So there were so many cool things about camping. I can't wait to do it again. So I'm excited for you, Stevenson. Is he still here? No, he might not be here anymore. Who do we have now? Dave and Marcus?
Mhm.
Dave, did I hear you were gonna be running a workshop, or you
Uh,
were interested in a certain type?
yeah. I mean, the camping stuff great. When you said the bird songs, and because I'm kind of working this out now, just as we're talking, just think, maybe
Yeah.
a retreat of collecting sounds, just a retreat of collecting. Like if you're gonna do a writer's retreat, like a music retreat of recording and collecting sounds, being in nature, seeing what's there, and maybe that can people can use it for patches. Maybe people can find whatever it is, as how that
Hmm.
translates into their music. It's not just collecting sounds, experiencing and collecting
Yeah. No, I
sounds,
love that idea. Yep. I mean,
keeping it, yeah,
another thing
keeping it
I'm
simple.
really interested. Another thing that I'm interested in that goes with that. We went on a walk. I don't know if Chris said this in the beginning. I wasn't there for the first time, but he might not have brought it up. We recently went on a walk with um, a dendrologist who studies trees and knows like everything about trees and the forest in general. I mean, he was taking out all these interesting tools that he created and teaching us about each of the trees and the names and the things that they do for each other and the connectivity to other parts of the forest. It was so cool. I'm interested in talking to him about doing a workshop as well, like maybe just a weekend one, but where we take other people into the woods to do that. Like there was so much to learn about, but that could easily be paired with also the noises because there were so many different birds and noises that we heard while we were out there. Because we walked pretty far all the way to the back of the property. And there are some great old hunting platforms that we took down the like little hut on them, which we found a little bit creepy, I don't know. But we took that down and it's a great place for bird watching though, and just sitting and listening because you get the best sounds when you're still.
Thick. Yeah, that sounds great.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. That'd be really
Super fun.
cool. That'd be really cool to
I
like,
think so.
yeah, because you bringing awareness to the trees. Are there any ornithological experts out there as well?
I'm sure there are. I didn't meet one yet, but I'm sure there are. I'm very interested in that as well.
Yeah, call and response between the birds is incredible. Bird songs.
Yes, there are.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I do know there was a study done in it was Columbia. They were studying the birds in Central Park and the patterns of the songs that they created as groups. And at one point in time, it was actually like one half of Central Park versus the other half of Central Park. And then all the bird songs in between started mixing up, and then it created new paradigms shifts socially within that group. That's a cool thing. So I'm just like what else would we notice up there? That's Central Park. What happens in the wild? I wonder.
Say that one more time about Central Park.
Oh, the birds in Central Park. They were
Yeah.
recording bird songs in Central Park, and then
Okay.
and the songs of the birds would change depending on the group of birds that they were with. So if you have a group of birds
Gotcha.
together, it's kind of, like regional dialects, regional accents, and even regional messaging, regional identity. We are these birds, we make these songs. And another group of birds would have a different song, and there'd be some conflict between the two groups until some of the satellite birds of those groups started being brave enough to go near each other, and then their songs started to trade, which then they brought back to their original groups, which then eventually formed which allowed a bridge for these two groups of birds to create a larger group, a more a mix of a diverse group.
Melissa, stop.
See, you heard that over there. Everybody heard. Okay, just so we know.
No, I didn't hear anything.
I'm getting
Sorry,
harassed over here while I'm trying to pack.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So it's kind of like where we are right now, like as there's like one side over there as human beings, and then people are kind of getting tired of it and want to start talking to each other. start creating new songs, new agreements.
Yeah, no,
Collective
I love that.
agreements. Yeah.
Yep. I think the other cool part about doing the workshops that I really enjoyed was we can, in the night when we're sitting around the fire, being able to have kind of conversations about Black land ownership and the mission and the different things that we're doing and hearing what people think. And also, there's some like kind of a different type of connectivity when you're connecting around a purpose, but there's a lot of good ideas that come out of that and a lot of knowledge sharing, which I think is great. I also think there's something interesting to do with the fire, but I haven't figured that out yet. Like fire ceremonies or something.
Oh yeah, you can meditating with fire is a real thing. There's some retreats that it's just you and the fire. And you sit there and you talk with the fire. You're in that I mean, I don't think it's called, I don't know if it's this particular structure is a teepee, but you're allowed to have fire in this thing. And it's just you and that fire. And you, over the course of a couple of days, you have to keep that fire going. So you're in this conversation with this energy that's just being created all the time. You start to develop a relationship with it, from what I hear. I haven't tried it. Some family members of mine have, but I'm down to experiment with it.
Yeah, for sure. I like that idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's all kinds of different and unique ways to do it, but creating some interesting rituals for each of the workshops, or engaging in some activities with like intention and community purpose is also really fun. I don't know. There's a lot to think about, but
yeah, I mean, camp stories are a thing.
Oh, that's
Camp
true.
stories,
Mm-hmm.
camp. Yeah, there's a lot of ceremony that's built around fire for sure.
Hold on 1 second. We're just transferring here. And Dave, were there? You said the bird and the bird sounds, as well as I think you mentioned the silent retreat earlier. I'm just documenting some of what was said.
Yeah, all the sounds in nature, water, trees, the wind in the trees, birds. What happens when you kick a rock?
I can tell you what happens when you go searching for big rocks all around the area and collecting them to build stone walls. You run into a lot of snakes.
They're fun. The snakes like us.
Really fun.
That's cool.